Great question. What is important to include when drafting a contract or agreement? So again, I'll always preface with I'm not a lawyer, so I can't tell you what to put in your contract. But what I can tell you is how to approach a contract. Right? A contract or an agreement between two people should cover things important to you and the other person. So before you even get to the actual contract, what you want to do is write down or bullet point things that are important to you as it pertains to that specific thing that you're dealing with. Right? If I'm working on a song and maybe I have a feature that I'm working on, maybe what's important to me is that I always have ownership and credit in the song. So I just write out a bullet point. I always want to make sure that I have ownership. I always want to make sure I'm credited for my part in the song. If you're doing a contract with a record label, maybe it's important to you that you own your masters. So I'd write a bullet point. I want to own my masters. Maybe it's important to you that you have final say creatively. I want to have final say in all creative things. Right? As you kind of create this list of bullet points, that's what I'm giving to a lawyer to then say, when we do this contract, please make sure these things are covered. Right? A lot of times what people will do is they'll download a generic contract and they'll just kind of change name, change address, and they'll send it over and say, okay, I have a recording agreement or I have a publishing agreement. And then when the contract's signed, 2 months later when they have a question and they're like, oh man, well that's not in the contract. Oh man, like that's not clear. It's like, well, you didn't tell the lawyer that. The lawyer's not going to think about the things that are important to you. So any good lawyer should have an exercise where they sit down and kind of ask you that question. But even before you have a lawyer, you should get in the habit of, with any relationship, any business agreement, just kind of write down some bullet points. This is what's important to me. And I'd advise you, if you're having a conversation or going back and forth, to have the person on the other side of the table write that down as well. What's important to you? And then you'll see where there's overlap, where it's like, all right, well, that's important to you. I get that. I respect that. I'm cool. You see what's important to me. You get that. I respect that. That's cool. You'll also see where there's disagreements. Something that could be really important to me could be counter to what's important to you. And then finally, I think you want to have like non-negotiables. So what we'll do with our list is we'll write our list of what's important to us, and then we'll organize it. Put the most important things at the top, least important things at the bottom, and you'll find an area on that list that you'll draw a line. You'll say basically everything over this line is a non-negotiable, right? That's a term that you want to carry throughout your career. My non-negotiables are things that I will not budge on. But you've got to be understandable. So you can't put 200 things on the list, put the non-negotiable line at the bottom and say, if these 200 things aren't in this agreement, I'm not going to do it. It doesn't work like that. So you might write 200 things on the list, and you may say these top 20 are my non-negotiables. I know for some artists, owning their masters is a non-negotiable. I have an artist I work with. We've had major deals offered from every label, and we haven't taken one of them because our non-negotiable is he must own his masters. So the labels will come back. They've come back many times over the years, and they've offered us much more money, and they've offered us much better terms. But as long as we don't have the ability to own our masters, we won't even sit down and have the conversation because that's our non-negotiable, right? So, and for a label, right? So if you're a label owner, you should have your non-negotiables. Maybe your non-negotiable is that you have the ability to recoup, right? I have some decision-making say as long as I have invested in you, right? There's two sides to every coin. Maybe as the feature artist, your non-negotiable is anytime the song is listed, I have to have my name in the credits. But not just in the credits, my name should be in the song title. You'll see that, on iTunes when you see, song name featuring this, and it's actually the song title says that, that's a non-negotiable for some people. There are artists like T-Pain who are like, you know what, like my name is really important to me. So it's gotta be song name featuring T-Pain. So when you search iTunes, it says song name featuring T-Pain. But then there's some songs you'll see where it's just song name and there's a feature on it, but it doesn't say it in the name because that's not a non-negotiable to that person. Or they didn't think about it. So your non-negotiables are really important.